Hello and welcome to my channel In Search of Wonder. Today I'm going to be sharing my March TBR slash hope to read slash want to read slash might be read slash pile of possibilities. All right, let's get going on this huge stack of March fun. So the first thing is the main challenge or readathon that I'm participating in is middle grade March. I love middle grade March because it forces me to choose a genre or type of book that I wouldn't normally, which is middle grade. And it's just not a genre that appeals to me, or a category of books that I'm drawn to. But I know that there are some really good ones out there. So I like it that it forces me to push my envelope a little bit in that way. And secondly, it gives me an opportunity to both read something with my kids, which is mainly what I use middle grade March for, to read something with my kids and also to encourage them to read more. Now, my oldest son doesn't normally need encouragement to read. Mostly he just needs encouragement to branch out instead of rereading the same favorite series that he knows he loves, but to branch out and try new authors and new books. It takes a little bit to convince him to do that. But otherwise, when he was actually middle grade, when he was third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, I could not find recommendations for him fast enough. And at that point, like, I think BookTube was still a pretty new thing and I didn't know about it. And so I was like exhausting all of my resources trying to find recommendations for good quality books that he could read. Nowadays though, his problem right now is that he's in a bit of a reading slump, which between you and me, I blame on video games, because he'd rather play video games than read a book, even though he's only allowed a certain amount of video game time each week. But that's just between you and me. He disagrees. But anyways, he's in a bit of a reading slump, so I thought I would maybe like kickstart and get him interested in reading something new. And then my younger son always needs a little bit of a kick in the pants to read something. But once he finds, in particular, if he finds a series that he enjoys, he will read the whole thing, like without stopping if he has access to the books. So, but it's really hard to get him hooked. Like, if he doesn't love the book in the first chapter, he's like, no, it's boring. I'm not going to read it. So even if his brothers, now if I say it's good, yeah, whatever, nobody believes mom. But even if his brother says, that is a really good book, why don't you should read it? It's really good. Give it time. Like by the third or fourth chapter, you'll really like it. And he's like, no, it's boring. I'm not going to read it. So anyway, trying to get him hooked on a book is a little bit tricky. So I love middle grade March because it gives me an opportunity to foster reading in them and also foster reading relationship between us. So those are the primary reasons that I really enjoy engaging in middle grade March. Having said that, I am not actually, because I guess I probably have slightly different goals from it than most people. I'm not actually doing the group read, and there are some great prompts, but I'm not consciously trying to fill any of the prompts either. Although one of the prompts this year is middle grade books that you've missed out on, and so that would totally apply to all of the books that I would read because I've missed out on all of them. They're all books that most everybody else has already read. You will probably be familiar with most of these with these titles. I don't have many, but you'll be familiar with these titles and these authors. And yeah, so that would probably be the prompt that fits me most. So what I did was I went to the library and I got like a stack of 10 books that were middle grade and then one like young adult book. And I have ones that I thought that would interest my sons, that also were recommended by booktubers or people in groups that I trust, and good recommendations for books. So I brought them home and I said, all right, boys, look through there and choose a book, and you read it and I'll read it. We'll both read this book and see if we like it. So they prefer, my oldest prefers like dystopian. That's his favorite genre currently. It used to be fantasy, now it's dystopian. And then my younger son, he's a little more flexible, but what surprises me is that neither one of them like funny books. I got 1 or 2 funny books and they were like, no. And then also they're both apparently misogynist, because I got several books that had girls on the cover and they were like, no, there's a girl on the cover. Hello, your mother's a girl. What's the problem here? I don't understand. But anyways, whatever. They did both choose books. Actually, they both chose a couple books that they're wanting to read. So the first one, and my youngest son actually already read it, and we already went to the library and put the rest of the books in the series on hold, and so he can finish the series, and that is City Spies. So he really enjoyed it. My oldest son, this is actually his copy, which I didn't realize he had a copy, and he'd already read the whole series. I had forgotten that. So I had picked it up at the library, but this is my oldest son's copy, and my younger son already read it in like 2 days, thought it was great, so I am looking forward to reading that. City Spies, that's the first one that he picked, which all of the books that I got at the library were in a short, so I will try to remember to put that in the description box if you want to see the other ones that I thought. I'm still going to hang on to them. I may end up reading them if I am interested and feel like it, because some of them I've heard people talk about and I'm really interested in reading them myself, but we'll see how much time I have. My older son is reading already Peter Nimble and His Fantastic Eyes, which just looks really interesting to me. And so I'm not sure if I will read this one with him. He also wanted to read, and this would be definitely one that I've missed out on because this is an older series for sure. And that is the series by the Shadow Children series by Margaret, Peterson, Haddix. And this is the first one, I believe, Among the Hidden. And I think these were in 2000. First printed in 2000. So these are more than 20 years old, and neither I nor my son have ever read them. So, but definitely has, I don't know if it's categorized as dystopian, but it definitely has dystopian vibes because it's got, there are population police who control the number of children that a family can have. And they, the children, the shadow children, are children who are hidden by their parents. So that gives me strong like Moses vibes and etc. Anyway, so this book is about those children, and that is a really interesting concept to me. So first of all, it's a shorter book, and secondly, I'm really interested in that concept. So I might pick up this one, but this one, I just love the cover, first of all, and I know a lot of people have mentioned this book as being really good, so we'll see. I don't know which one I will end up reading, but I'll definitely read one of them. All right, so that is the main thing for Middle Grade March. I also picked up from a little free library, and I have never even heard of this book by Kate DiCamillo, Raymie, Nightingale. It was written not quite 10 years ago, I think. 3 girls, 1 summer, a friendship that changed their lives. And so, while I had middle grade on the mind, and with such a beautiful copy of it, I picked it up, and I thought I might as well give it a try. I don't think it would take too long to read it. So I may get to this one also. So that is for middle grade March, the things that I'm planning to read for that. Now for my other challenges. So for Read Your Shelf Challenge with Chantel, I'm in the Arthur Conan Doyle track, and the one that I need to read for March should have more than 2 points of view. And can I tell you, first of all, it was really hard to figure out if a book had more than 2 points of view. I was opening like every fiction book I had on my shelf that I had not read yet and trying to discern if it had 2 points of view or more. I did not feel like going through the books on my Kindle because like you have to like download it to your, anyway, I just didn't want to open all of them and try to figure out, do they have multiple points of view or not? But I did find one that I thought would work. And if you've read it, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys does have 3 or more points of view, perspectives that whereby the story is being told. So, and this is an author that I have been wanting to try for several years, and I just haven't yet. So it's just time to read her books. And that will help me cross off some goals in my reading journal for this year. So I am actually really excited about that, and I am looking forward to reading that book. For the Reading the Classics Challenge with the Tea and Ink Society, I am supposed to read a book that has a place name in the title, and I have 2 options. And who knows which one I'll actually get to. Both of them are rereads for me, but both of them are rereads that I've been intending to do this year. So if I get to them both in March, it will be a miracle, but I will get to them at some point this year, hopefully. And that is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. I'm currently rereading all of Austen, all of her major 6 novels, her 6 major novels. And I only have this one left. I've reread all of them, some of them more than 2 times, but this is the only one I haven't yet read a second time. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. And oh, I don't think I said, that's Mansfield Park. So definitely want to get to that. And then I'm also currently rereading all of the Anne series. And the next one up is Anne of Windy Poplars. So that is another one that I really want to get to. Now this one would not take long for me to read. And I really love the whole Anne series. And I love Austen. So I don't know. I might prioritize these above others. I don't know. So many amazing books in so little time. Will I get to them or not? I don't know, but I hope so. And for the What the Dickens Facebook book club, we are reading Grimm's Fairy Tales. Now, this book is like the complete collection of fairy tales. It's really big, really long, really tiny writing, and there are some very, very extremely obscure tales in here. So I have no intention of reading this entire book. I am just going to read, I'm just going to read, like, I'll start with, like, the famous ones, you know, like the more well-known ones, just to read the actual original, you know, or as collected by Grimm, version of it. And then I'll probably read some others that interest me, but I'm not going to read the whole book straight through, but I will read some of the Grimm's fairy tales. And then I have a couple of buddy reads lined up for March. And the first one is Eugene Onegin with Dia and Courtney, which I am very excited about because even though I lived in Russia for 5 years, I have a big hole in Russian literature as far as having read Russian literature. I've read some, but I've not read a lot. So I'm trying every year to read some. So this year, I'm really excited to read Eugene Onegin by Alexander Pushkin, which I have been wanting to read for a long time. And it is a story told in poem form. And first of all, I ordered this copy off Pengo Books, which is the translation by James E. Phelan, which I did a little research, and it seemed like his translation was the one that I wanted to read. It seemed like the one that appealed to me the most. So I'm looking forward to reading that translation. However, Courtney showed us her copy, which a friend had got for her from Amazon. So I ordered it. It was only like $8. But what I love about this one is it's a dual language version. So it's got the Russian on one side and the English on the other. Now, the English side, what I don't like as much is that it's not rhyming. So it's more of like an actual translation of the Russian into English, that like without having to force it into a rhyming shape, which can be really difficult and can take away from some of the meaning of the story. So I think that there is incredible value in that type of translation. And so this is probably the main one I'm going to read from. However, we're reading 2 chapters a week. So I may at least be able to read some stanzas here and compare them. Or I may just stick with the other version and not worry about that. And just save this for another time for a reread. I like both copies. I like having both of them. So feels a little extravagant, but there you go. Editing Anne here to say, with the accompaniment of the washing machine in the background, that I completely forgot to mention another buddy read. It was written in my list and somehow I just skipped right over it. But Miriam and I are going to be reading Dear Mrs. Bird, which I'm also very excited about because my sister read it a little while back, like last year at some point, and she really loved it. And since then, I've heard so many people talking about it on BookTube, and I really want to read it. So Miriam and I are going to be reading that this month. And then for the Protagonists Pubs Book Club, they are reading Recorder. I forget the author, and I don't have a copy of it, so I'm hoping to be able to get it from the library. And this one is the the prompt for the theme for choosing this one, which was voted on, the prompt was a book that's outside of your comfort zone. And this definitely would be outside of my comfort zone, because I don't typically read. It's kind of like a dystopian, whatever. So I'm willing to do that one this year. I'm actually, like, I've heard Chantel and I've heard some others talk about the book, and the concept of it sounds so interesting. And I think it probably would be a really interesting book. I'm just not 100% sure that I'm going to be able to get to it in March. So, but I want to, because I'm interested in it, and I like a challenge that gives me a reason to read something that interests me. So, I kind of want to, but I'm not making any commitments really about any of these things. I will read what I get to, if I get to it. But these are all possibilities that would happen. So, and then to backtrack a little bit, to go with Eugene Onegin. I don't know if I'll get to this or not, if I'll have time, but I thought it was fascinating, so I went ahead and got it out of the library. This is called In Paris with You by Clementine Beauvais, who is a French novelist, and I think this might be a translation. Yeah, this was originally written in French. It's a bestseller in France. And I believe it is based on, freely inspired by Alexander Pushkin's verse novel, Eugene Onegin, and Tchaikovsky's opera version of the story. So I am going to maybe read this if I have time. It's in free verse, so that's really cool. I've been also wanting to try a free verse novel, just because I'm intrigued by the concept and I've never read one before. So I'm intrigued by this. I'm interested in it, but I only have so much time in March, so who knows what I'll actually get to. When it comes to Eugene Onegin, I also want to watch the opera and the ballet, so we'll see if I'm able to sit down any evenings and watch any of those. We'll find out. So those are my planned reads for March. Those are the ones that I am committing to, if I'm committing to anything. I'm not really like making a vow or anything. Those are the ones that will be prioritized for me. I'm also going to be continuing to read And the Dead Shall Rise. It's taken me a while to read this because it's very dense in details, and I'm not reading it every day. So still working through this. That will definitely take me through March. I might still be reading it in April, who knows. But and then, you know, I have some other fun reads on my shelf that I want to get to at some point that I might just pick up for mood reads, and whatever else comes across my path. But those are the ones that I'm intending to get to in the month of March. And yeah, so let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books. What are your thoughts on them? And what books you are really looking forward to reading in March yourself. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.